Hi guys, how's it going? Just thought I'd give you a quick update on some of the type of places that I choose to park up at night in my camper van. A lot of people have been asking me why I choose certain areas or where I go. Do I go on campsites or, with wild camping type of places that I go to? Where's safe? Where's legal? So here's some of the things for 10 years now I've had my camper van. These are just some of the things I look for when I'm going camping. Now, first of all, it's always good to have a couple of apps on your phone to start you off with. And there's two apps that I use. Well, there's three, but there's two I use. There's one I'm going to use. There's two I use. One's called Search for Sites. Search for Sites, I think it's about £7 or £8 a year. And it shows you exactly when you go on the app. It's just basically a picture of the country or wherever you want to go. You put in writing wherever you want to go, like Cornwall or Woolacombe or Devon or Padstow or any of these places. Some of these places I've been visiting the last few months, and then you can expand it, and it will show you little icons on there about if there's an overnight stay there. And basically what these apps are, the people have put where they've stayed on, and they've given a review about if it's safe there, how much it costs, if there's a slope on there. So that's a really good app to use. It, like I say, it cost £5-6 or £8, I think it was this year. It's gone up a little bit. And that lasts for the whole year, one-off payment all year. That's sort of my best app I use. It also tells you where you can empty your water tank or the chemical toilet. There's places it show you on there. There's that one. Now, another one I use is called Britstops. That's another app. I think that costs that might be a tenner or something for the year. What Britstops is, that's basically a load of pubs who have all signed up to say that they'll offer people a chance to park their camper van or motorhome, possibly even a car as well if you keep in the back of the car, on their car park overnight. And in return, they'd like you to have a meal, or even if you just have a couple of drinks there, they're quite fine with that. I've done that quite a lot of times last year with Britstops. That's a really good one as well. But I think if they're on Britstops, you can do any pub. You ask any pub you go to, or any of these pubs, and sort of say to them, have a few drink in there and get chatting to them first, and then just say, would it be okay if I overnight on your car park? Is that fine? Most of them will say yes, especially if you got chatting to them first. But if failing that, you've got Britstops, and they've sort of signed up to this thing that they'd like you to have a meal. Really, they'd like you to have a bit of a meal in there, But a lot of them provide. I mean, I stopped at one at Usk last year, and they provided showers. There was a woman gave us a key, went upstairs and had a shower in one of the rooms. So that's a good one. Britstops is, and there's another one. For Europe, and I think that's called Camping Car Park app. And my brother's told me about this one. That's a lot of the airs in France, and I think they do it better than we do in England. They have a really small fee of like €8 or €9, maybe €10, and they're providing sometimes showers. They're providing electric hookup and actual space. So they're pretty good as well. So they're your apps, and I will use that camping car park one next year when I go to France. I'm definitely going to use that one. But I personally don't like campsites. I years ago I used to sort of pay for a campsite, which I think are extortionately priced anyway. I'd pay for these campsites, and because I'm sort of self-sufficient with my van, I don't really need anything from a campsite. I used to begrudge, hating paying £40 and £35 just to park in a space which I'm usually gone by the next morning. So unless you're going to stay there for 2 weeks or a week or whatever, long term, I personally don't like using campsites. I would rather do what they call wild camping. Now with the wild camping, I did a tour all around Devon and Cornwall in the summer. And what I did there was I was pulling over. I was looking at search for sites for various places. One of these was stopped a night at Woolacombe, whereas I was basically parking on the Esplanade there, overnight there, but you're up the next morning. I'm arriving 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night when the traffic wardens have usually gone, and then I'll park up overnight in the van, and then I'll put it onto the car park. I'm usually always gone by 8 o'clock, 8:30 anyway, so you don't really need. I like to move on. I love the feeling of waking up somewhere new every single day. I like that feeling of getting up, waking up somewhere new, and then you can carry on moving. Then you're moving on, carrying on the next day. So, Now, one thing I would say when you're like sort of wild camping, if you like, and I've wild camped on harbours, many harbours in the past. They're good places. You just go on a normal car park on a harbour usually. Everybody's had the meals. They've been out on the beach all day, or they've had the meal. These car parks are normally getting a bit empty by 8, 9 o'clock. So you're pulling up on these harbours. You might have to pay, whatever the charge is till the next morning, 8, 9 o'clock. Because usually you're gone by then. You're moving on. You're going to some beach somewhere, or you're going somewhere different. If you're going to have a few hours the next day, obviously put on. I think I stayed in Padstow. I stayed on Padstow Harbour, and I'm doing a bit of stealth camping as well. It ain't like I'm sort of setting my pop top up or any chairs out and stuff like that. They don't even know I'm in there half the time. But if you're discreet, you can go on a car park in a van, pay your money, and if you're gone by the morning, there's absolutely no problem. Or I've never had any trouble whatsoever. I've done that in Weymouth a few times. Pulled up on a harbour, Padstow, St Ives, all of these type of places you can overnight on on the car park there. You got your harbours, you got your car parks. A lot of car parks you can do it inside as well. Like you might have not so much Aldi and little car parks now because they've got all APNR, but you'll find other car parks that you can overnight on. And that's what I tend to do. When I pick places to go, like I say, I look at the search for sites. I very rarely go on for laybys. I don't like a layby. I never stay on a layby. I don't always feel safe on a layby. You've got a lot of passing traffic. You've got cars pulling in and out all the time. I don't always feel safe on a layby, so I try and avoid the laybys. But you can get, say, the road that you might get, say, if you're going to some seaside place, you'll get roads that are just slightly set back that might be a bit quieter. Always keep your eye out as well in the day for if you've got a couple of camper vans that look like they've been there for a couple of days, or they look like they're set up, and go and chat to people. Just have a word with them and say, are you overnighting here? Are you okay to overnight? And they'll tell you. It's no problem. And another good rule of thumb as well is if you've got people that are parked up, try and join them. If you've got a van or two, go by their van. I think there's sometimes a bit of safety in numbers as well. So look on your app, look on your search for sites app, see where people have put. If it means driving around a couple of different places, find somewhere you feel comfortable with. Anywhere you feel comfortable, was quiet. There's only ever been once I've had to move my van. I once stopped at Ullapool, and it was somebody put on search for sites for Stretcher Road. I was parked on there, but there's loads of kids playing football. It was about 9, 10 o'clock at night. They was drinking, there's playing football, and I just didn't quite feel safe, so I just decided that it was time to move on, and I moved on. So them are just a few tips that I use. When you're searching for places, keep your eyes out for APNR. They can catch you out unless you've put the amount of time on. Other places you can churches are usually good if you can find a church car park, especially in the countryside. Church car parks are good. They're okay. When else is good? Premier Inns. stop in a Premier Inn car park. And what you can do is, what I've done this loads of times, pull on a Premier Inn car park, go inside and have a pint in there, and you're putting your number plate into the iPad for the parking. And if you can put like overnight or 2 nights, just click that box as well, because you're having a pint in there. You might want to use a toilet, you know, go and have a quick one in there, quick beer, and have a chat with the guy who's the waiter, you know, who's serving you, not the waiter but the barman, and they'll just say to them, you know, is it okay if I overnight on the car park? But very, very rarely does anybody say no. Very rarely. I remember I was at Mull once and I went into this pub car park, hotel car park. It was nice, fairly nice hotel, and I had a chat with the guy, and he was saying, oh well, we're really not sure, we're not really. And if they start giving any negatives, just move on to the next one. There's always a Travel Lodge, there's always a Premier Inn. 9 times out of 10, if you bought a beer off them and you got chatting to them in the first place, and then you sort of hit them with the, you know, I wouldn't mind overnighting, they won't mind, but very, very rarely mind. So there's just a few ideas, suggestions there, but my advice is, don't just leave your van anywhere. Don't just pull up places thinking it's going to be okay, because more than likely you're going to end up with a ticket or the APNR. You get a letter come a few weeks later. Sometimes you might want to take the parking ticket. I know at Woolacombe, there's a guy there who gives tickets out, and he sort of said to me, like, I'll give them out if I see a van that's parked there a few days, I might give it 1 ticket. I might give them a ticket, but I won't give them it the night after. I'll give it probably a ticket. If they're there a week, I might give them 2 or 3 tickets a week. Now, I think the ticket was 45 quid fine, but if you paid it within 7 or 14 days, it halved, or it worked out about 18, 19 quid. Now, you might want to take the ticket and pay that. So if you don't mind paying 18 or 19 pound a night, you'll just have the ticket every night and just pay the fine. Some people do that. I know they do that at Woolacombe, which is one of my favourite places. So yeah, you can take the parking ticket if you want to, if it's not too dear. But always check the thing to see if they've got no overnight parking. A few people, they're starting to cotton onto it now. They're starting to sort of charge people a tenner overnight, and I don't mind paying a tenner personally. A tenner's okay. Now, when you are out in your camper van and you're pulling up at these places and you're staying, another thing you want to get to do is have a shower or have a wash. People ask me that question, where do you shower, where do you wash? Another thing I do all the time, if I'm moving around, I'll pull onto a campsite and I'll go to the reception and I'll just say, you know, do you mind if I use your shower? I'll give a couple of pounds to a charity box or a donation. And literally, I've stopped hundreds and hundreds of these campsites. They never mind. They'll never say no. They'll always say, just if you don't mind putting something to a charity box. I think I had one. There was only one that said no, it was for guests only, which not a problem. Just go to the next one. And you can always, if you've asked them as well to have the shower, what I'll do is I'll empty my toilet into the chemical toilet. I think they're called the Elson tanks. I'll empty it into there as well. But always give a little donation. You know, a couple of quid. It won't hurt, will it? You know, so there, and you can get your shower. So you've got your towel, have a shower there as well, and then you just move on. No problem at all. If you find it's a nice campsite, you might want to book in, you know, and stay there a few days. I know I did that at Woolacombe. I used one of their campsites, and then I end up booking and end up having a couple of nights there because it was so good, you know. So yeah, they're just a few of my tips anyway. You know, put some comments in, any questions you've got, put some comments in. If you don't mind subscribing, I'm trying to build the channel now. I'll try and add more content to what I've been adding. But like I say, there's nothing that beats wild camping and waking up somewhere new, waking up somewhere where you've got the sun's just coming up. There's a fantastic feeling in the summer when you're on a harbour and you're seeing the sun come up and the sound of the seagulls. It's amazing. It's better than any campsite you'll ever find. Okay, guys, speak to you soon.